All right, it looks like we should be live here. Let me see if I can go grab this link really quick and tweet it out. Get some more people in here so we can react to what in the world just happened. If you're just now tuning in, I am Nathaniel Rutherford, the managing editor of RockyTopInsider.com. Thank you all for tuning in right now. Tennessee just suffered a disastrous loss. There's no other way to put it. Okay, I'm getting the link out here now, so bear with me here as I'm getting the link sent out to Twitter and everything right now. We'll talk about this in a second. Tennessee loses in double overtime. Ugh. All right, there we go. That should bring in some more people here, I think. Oh boy! All right, let's discuss this. Tennessee, in the most typical Tennessee fashion, finds a way to grab defeat from the jaws of victory, fall in double overtime to BYU in a game that Tennessee should have won. I don't know how long. I mean, multiple times in that game, Tennessee should have won it. No excuses. None. No excuses. You can blame whoever. There's a lot of people to blame. I've seen a lot of people try to throw Garantano and say it's all his fault or whatever. It's not. He definitely. It's more his fault in this one than it has been a lot of Tennessee's losses. He did not play well at all. His touchdown pass in the first half in regulation should have been picked off. I put my 5 observations piece. One of the words of the night, the themes of the night for him was late, just being late, just missing on throws, throwing the ball too late, or just having just bad accuracy, whatever it was. It was bad. I mean, it was really bad. He did not play well. However, as much blame as he deserves, that defense in the second half deserves probably just as much. I mean, there were times obviously on offense for Tennessee. Let me know if you guys can't hear me well. Let me know if there's an issue with any of the volume or anything like that, or anything if I need to turn anything up. This is obviously our first time doing a live show here on YouTube, so let me know if there's anything that I need to do to fix it for you here. But obviously, Garantano deserves a lot of the blame, and I think I struggle to say just right off the bat here reacting to the game if he deserves the most blame of anyone on the team, because I think the defense, second half defense, was just awful. I mean, awful. I mean, really, really, really awful. You had obviously the big play that's going to stand out is that 64-yard pass at the end there where Taylor just didn't have his guy. I don't know what happened with him. He didn't have his. He I need to go back and watch the play to see if he whiffed or was a busted assignment, whatever it was. But he missed his guy, and then Theo Jackson whiffed on the tackle. Next thing you know, it's 64-yard play that I was honestly surprised didn't end in a touchdown. That was no surprising. It wasn't surprising to me that play happened. It really wasn't. All of you here with me right now, or watching this later as the replay, you've seen enough Tennessee football to know that wasn't surprising. What was the surprising part was he didn't score a touchdown there. The fact that Tennessee kept him from scoring a touchdown was shocking. By the way, let me leave a comment here on YouTube if you want to on the little chat thing here. Please let me just anything you want to say at all, let me know. But to me, you had that play, but you had multiple missed tackles. You had the run defense in the second half was abysmal. In the first half, you had Tennessee giving up just -4 rushing yards. And Tennessee's first half run defense was really, really good. -4 rushing yards what BYU had, because you had, I think, 3, maybe 4, but at least 3 sacks in that first half by Tennessee's defense. That was one reason, but they also contained Tyson Williams and contained BYU's rushing attack. In the second half and both overtimes combined, BYU rushed for 111 yards in the second half and 2 overtimes, averaged, I believe, might have been, it was over 6 yards per carry, might have been close to 7 yards per carry in the second half and in overtime. And that was one of the biggest differences. That and BYU won the first down battle in the second half, and Tennessee was doing a good job in the first half of getting some good yardage on first down. I was keeping track of it during the game. You had on Tennessee's in the first half, they had a 4-yard rush on first down, a 7-yard pass, a 9-yard rush, and a 4-yard rush on their 4 of their first 5 plays on first down plays. They also had a 51-yard pass to Juwan Jennings. And then that was kind of it. It was kind of the end of the first half and then going into the second half and then overtime where Tennessee just all of a sudden stopped being able to pick up big plays on first down. They started the second half okay with a 6-yard rush, a 6-yard rush, and the 9-yard rush. Then after that, it wasn't until later in the fourth quarter where they had another drive where they did well on first down. But in overtime, you had incompletion, a 0-yard rush, and a 1-yard rush on Tennessee's 3 first down plays in overtime. BYU, on the other hand, they had a 1-yard rush on the first one. Their first touchdown came on a first down play. And then in their second possession in the second overtime, they had a 14-yard rush on first down and a 7-yard rush, and then the 5-yard rush on second down to obviously win the game for them. There's a lot of blame to go around here. There's improvement, as G White here is saying on the chat, improved, but it just goes to show you can rush your way to a win playing with a QB who isn't consistent in passing, nor with a pocket presence and missed open receivers for stars. Yeah, I agree. Garantano was, I get what you're saying. You can't rush your way to a victory. And Tennessee ran the ball very well. 242 rushing yards in the game. Obviously, Ty Chandler ripped off a 53-yard run, I believe. He almost got a career high, finished 145 yards. Eric Gray looked really impressive in his runs. I really wish they actually got Eric Gray the ball more. It seemed like in the second half he didn't get nearly as many touches as Ty Chandler. They kind of fed Chandler a lot more than Gray. But Garantano just, I don't know, man. Garantano looked bad in this game. I mean, it wasn't his worst game he's ever played. I think that would probably be Vanderbilt last year, and you could throw in probably one from his first season as the starter in 2017. But man, he did not look good. I mean, there were a couple okay throws he made in this game, but really for the most part, I mean, he made some bad throws, some very bad throws. And once again, thank you all who are tuning in right now. This is the RTI post-game reaction show. First time we're doing it on YouTube here, so trying to do something a little different. Like, Ben is, of course, still at the game, and he's got family in town, so he and I couldn't do a normal kind of call to do a podcast like we have been doing, or what we did last week and what we kind of plan on doing. And this is kind of what I want to do. I'm trying to figure out a way to get, I think maybe next week it's UTC, we'll see. But I'm trying to figure out a way to get it to where like he'll show up on here like on a Skype call or something like that, to where you can have him doing audio. Hopefully you guys can hear him and hear me, so it'll be just more than just me. But this is, I think, Vol fan or Tennessee will be lucky next week for UTC to have 75,000 people in the stands. I would be honestly pretty shocked if that was the number Tennessee got. I don't know how, if you're a Vol fan, if you're watching this right now or watching it later or whatever, I don't know how you're not moving forward. I don't know how you're not just checked out. I would not blame you one bit for just checking out at this point. You haven't been rewarded. You have not been rewarded for anything. for your money, for your effort, for your passion, for your time, for your investment, for any of it. You've not been rewarded at all. So why in the world would you support Tennessee? I got an answer for you, man. I mean, I hate this. For me, obviously, I grew up a Vol fan, so as that kind of fandom thing, it's still stuck in my inside me somewhere here. Sucks for me, but it sucks for me because from a business perspective, people are going to be, and just to peek behind the curtain here for you guys a little bit, people are going to be checked out so badly now that unless Tennessee can somehow pull off a victory against a Florida or something like that, that man, I mean, my job's going to suck. I don't know. I have I'm lucky to have the job I have. I mean, covering a sports team is nothing compared to some of the actual legitimate hard work that some of you, I'm sure, watching this do. Some of you have a lot more taxing jobs than what I have to go through, and I thank all of you who do those jobs, and I'm sure do them well. But I'm just gonna say my job is going to suck here for the next, I don't know how long, but. So Georgia State ended up winning. I didn't see their score. G White here is telling me on the chat that Georgia State ended up winning. I saw that they were down 20-10, I believe was what I think halftime score is what I saw. I didn't end up seeing if they won the game. So I guess they won. So that's, I guess, on a lighter note. Yeah, I don't know. But this is Tennessee's first 0-2 start since 1988. That team obviously started out, it was 0-6, and then winning the last 5 games of the season to really set up the 1989 team that actually was pretty good. And I think they, if I remember correctly, I wasn't live, but if I remember looking up stuff correctly from that one, that 89 team won the SEC, I believe. So, I mean, obviously, anything can happen, I guess, but I'm sure the hell ain't predicting Tennessee to go 0-6 to start the year and then to finish the season with 6 straight wins, not or anything like that at all. I would be stunned, absolutely stunned if that happened with this team. Tennessee should get a win next week against UTC. If they don't, oh boy, they should get a win against UTC. You imagine they should be able to beat UAB. UAB is worse than Georgia State. 2 wins. Can you find 3 more somehow in the SEC to beat? If you can get to 5-7 at this point, that would be a minor miracle. That means you would go 5-5 to end the season, and after starting 0-2 against 2 teams that a lot of Vol fans had chalked up as 2 wins. Ugh. Again, this is the RTI post-game reaction show. I'm trying to get this out to some more social media stuff, so bear with me here. But we're live now. Thank you all for tuning in. Like I said, first time we're doing this on YouTube, so I appreciate you all kind of bearing with me a little bit as we're kind of working out the kinks here a little bit. But leave a comment on the chat here. If you're obviously viewing this later when it's not live, you can just leave a comment on the regular kind of comment section here on YouTube. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think Tennessee's record is going to be this season? I know I'm probably getting a bunch of joke. Maybe you're being serious, but I'm probably getting a bunch of 0-12 or 1-11 or things like that. But genuinely, I could see 2-10. I really could. I don't know that Tennessee is going to beat. The only team I think they could beat in the SEC right now is Vanderbilt. But that's not Tennessee's lost 3 straight to them. And Tennessee's been the superior opponent from a talent perspective and stuff all 3 years, and they've lost to them. So guessing records is a waste of time. Yeah, if it feels like it. William Lovering here says, as a Georgia fan, I've been following due to curiosity about Pruitt. There are rumors of conflict when Richt was our coach. We thought it was strange when Kirby took over that he let Pruitt go. Defenses looked good and they worked together under Saban. It has fed the rumors that Pruitt has some personality issues. Do you think the team isn't buying him, if not quitting him? I don't think it's the team quitting him. I think tonight effort was not an issue. I didn't see nearly as many things going on with effort tonight as there was against Georgia State. Tonight it was against Georgia State too. Execution was, I still think, the biggest problem. I think effort was probably number 2 or number 3. I think execution was still the biggest problem against Georgia State. Tonight against BYU, execution was 100% the biggest problem. That and Garantano's inability to make good throws, period. But there was a lot of lack of execution. There was still a lot of issues with lining up correctly, getting in the right spots on defense. And I don't know if that's I don't know that Daniel Batuli's absence has hurt that as to the degree where this should be this big of an issue. I think Daniel Batuli not being out there absolutely hurts the defense and absolutely doesn't, it hurts them from a knowing the plays. It hurts them from a schematic standpoint. It hurts them from being lined up correctly and everything. But Batuli's absence shouldn't have affected this badly. Neither should Bryce Thompson's. I mean, you have 2, starters out right now with Batuli and Thompson being out. But their absence shouldn't affect the defense this badly. Like I said, the first half defense, that was some of the best defense I've seen Tennessee play in a while in that first half. Against Power 5 or an independent school like a BYU that's still considered kind of a Power 5 caliber team. But the second half was so bad. Overtime was so bad. It was like watching the South Carolina game last year all over again, where it just seemed like Tennessee just could not stop them. In a game where it was close, because obviously Tennessee couldn't stop teams like Missouri or Bama or West Virginia, but those weren't close games. The South Carolina game was a close game last year, just like this game was a close game this year. And that defense just could not do it. They had missed assignments. You had Alontae Taylor that should have picked off a pass in the second half there, and that I don't know if it would have sealed the deal for Tennessee at that point, but it would have really, really helped. There was just too many mistakes. I mean, there was just too much people not doing their job correctly. Warren, I never can say his last name correctly. Warren Burrell. I don't know, for whatever reason I can't say his last name correctly. But freshman WB cornerback Warren Burrell, he again struggled. I know it's because he's a true freshman and he's a guy that ideally you would not be starting right now. He did flash quite a bit in fall camp and looked okay. And I thought he looked a little better tonight. But man, he still had too many missed assignments, too many blown calls, and Pruitt. And there's one play in particular where BYU picked up a first down, and Burrell just happened to be over by the sideline, and Ainsley and Pruitt both pulled him aside and talked to him before the next play happened. So a bunch of people saying here if Tennessee had a better quarterback play and everything too, but yeah, I've been I've been a defender of Jarrett Garantano. I have, and that's on record. I mean, I'm not going to back down from it. I've been a defender of Jarrett Garantano, and I still think he gets too much flack overall. But tonight is inexcusable for the way he played. And the stat sheet's not going to look like he played horribly. It's going to show that he had kind of a mediocre game. But both his touchdown passes were because Juwan Jennings made a good play. And I think that the second one, it was more, I think Garantano kind of trusting Jennings and throwing it into a contested spot, but he still didn't throw it where he should have thrown it. Jennings just made a really good catch. Obviously, that freaking first touchdown pass should have been, at worst, batted down, if not picked off. And Jennings made a huge play, and Garantano got very lucky that wasn't picked off. But that interception he threw, that was awful. The interception he threw in the was it second half? Yeah, second half in the I think Tennessee's first possession of the second half. That was awful. It was terrible. But to G White's point here in the chat, saying 4th and 1 and you're advertising sweeps and they get stuffed. This after you've been running well, then 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4 and you go to the pass, not effective. Yeah, there was Tennessee's running game. Like I said, it was a lot better this game against BYU, but they still were consistently not getting enough push in the short yardage situations. A lot of Tennessee's runs were because both Ty Chandler and Eric Gray are really good at making guys miss, and were really good at getting into those creases and those holes right before they closed. I mean, there were multiple times I thought Eric Gray was going to be stopped behind the line for no gain or for like a 1 or 2 yard gain, and he ended up turning it into a big gain or at least a positive play. But Tennessee was 3 of 7 on 3rd downs when they're facing 4 or fewer yards. That's just awful against a BYU defense, front seven that, I mean, they're not very good. Last week they got gashed pretty well on the ground by Utah. Their running back, I believe, I think Moss is his last name. I think he gained like 180 something yards on the ground against BYU last week. Tennessee, like I said, as a team, gained 242 yards, and you had a big run by Ty Chandler. You had some good gains by both Gray and Chandler. But when it came time on, they had a third and goal they couldn't convert on. They had, like I said, multiple third and 4 or shorters, and short. Gee, I can't talk. Sorry, it's a little late here, and I'm a little flustered. But it was third and 4 or short to go for Tennessee on 7 occasions in this game, and they converted 3 of them. That's bad, and they weren't very good on third and short against Georgia State either. Yeah, they had fourth down and short a couple of times, and they missed both those. So yeah, thanks Lance for reminding me of that too. They were 1 of 3 on fourth down on the night. I think they converted the first time, if I remember correctly. They converted the first time, and then they didn't convert the rest of the night. I've seen someone mention here on the chat about Garantano being late. I mentioned that in my 5 observations piece that Garantano was late, and that was mentioned several times in the broadcast that Garantano was late, and he was. I mean, on a lot of throws. I don't know what it was tonight with him. Like I said, it wasn't his worst game I've ever seen him play. It was far from the best, and you can definitely argue that he and the defense were the number 1 and number 2 reasons why Tennessee lost this game. I don't know that you can argue anything differently. I really don't. Like I really don't know how you can argue anything differently about this game. It was Jarrett Garantano, and I would say defense first, and then Jarrett Garantano, because I thought offensive play calling wise, it was a pretty well called game by Chaney. There were a few things that I would change. There's that reverse on the 4th down call that I didn't like. There were a couple of times I thought they could have called something different, but for the most part, I thought that was a well called game. I thought the play calling did enough on offense to give Tennessee a chance. It was just the run game was really good. But then Garantano it was not a good game for him. Like I said, I don't want to sit here and just bash him or anything like that, but he didn't do enough to give Tennessee a chance to win. And this is just bad. Here's a quote from Ty Chandler. I was having to go check our social media for a second. They got a lot of replies. It was tweeted out 20 minutes ago, and it already has 62 replies on it. Ty Chandler, I believe 100% in Jarrett Garantano. He's going to have his mind right for next week. Well, I would hope so. They're playing UTC next week. But that's a big quote from Chandler. I can imagine the replies. Yeah, the replies are exactly what I thought they would be. But oh my goodness, guys. Where are you all at on this one? Where are your mindsets at? Because if I were not having to do this for a living, if this is not my job, if this was not, if I didn't have to watch Tennessee football, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I would right now. I don't know that I would have tonight. I think if I were just a fan, if I were just someone who didn't have to be invested in this, didn't have to put in effort, and didn't have to put in work to to cover this team, I don't know that I would. I'm just being honest with you. I don't know that I would be paying attention at this point. I've been counting it on Twitter since last week how many days it is until Tennessee's men's basketball team begins their season. We're less than 2 months away, so that's great news. I'm genuinely excited. I know this team's not going to be as good as last year's team, but I'm genuinely excited about the men's basketball team because at least I know that they're. I mean, not that this team. I don't think coaching is the issue. Someone here on the chat said the same thing. I don't think coaching is the issue. For the football team, I think it's personnel. I think it's in some cases it's still want to a little bit. But not with everyone. I think there was more effort tonight. I think there was more want to. There was more passion, especially at the beginning of the game. There was a lot of passion at the beginning of the game. That wasn't even an issue last week. I don't think necessarily. It was, in the second half. And I think second half there was more effort than there was last week. But I just, the depth is not there. And I wonder, to me, I'll be very curious to see what happens against UTC. Obviously, it's UTC. Tennessee should win that one. I mean, they should be able to start their second stringers and win that game. But I'd be curious to see how many young guys play and how many snaps some of these young guys play. Because we saw tonight, Henry To'oTo'o made some really good plays. Quavaris Crouch, he made a big pass breakup, almost intercepted it late in the fourth quarter there. He also pressured the quarterback. Henry To'oTo'o pressured the quarterback. You saw Wanya Morrison down on right play quite a bit on the offensive line. Like I said, I think I'm very curious about Trevon Flowers. He didn't start. I don't remember seeing him out there a whole lot. Hold on, let me check the stats really quick to see if he even got any tackles or anything, because he got a tackle, so he did play. But I'm very curious why he didn't start. Why they put Theo Jackson in there? Because Theo Jackson, he had 9 tackles and tackle for loss and a pass breakup, but he didn't look very great. I mean, the stat sheet's going to lie a little bit on him because I don't think he played as well as the stat sheet makes you think he played tonight. But you also had Roman Harrison got a quarterback hurry in this game. Kevon Bennett had a couple quarterback hurries. Darrell Taylor got a sack and a quarterback hurry. Latrell Bowman's got 2 sacks, which was I thought he played okay. Aubrey Solomon got a sack, or he didn't actually get a sack. They said on the broadcast he got a sack, but then the stat sheet credited it to Greg Emerson. So I don't know who actually ended up with the sack there and who didn't. So who knows? But I'll be very curious against UTC to see, like I said, not only how many young guys play, but how many snaps these young guys play, and how much that translates into what happens with Florida. Also, does the Bryce Thompson situation get worked out before Florida? Does Daniel Batuli? I'd imagine Batuli will be back for Florida for sure. Tiga T asked, where's JJ Peterson? I don't know, man. You know as much as I do on that one. Peterson is not where he needs to be right now. Whether that's conditioning, whether that's mentally, he still has a way to go before he is ready to contribute big time. G. White says, I'm over listening to the coaches tell me that JG has the best practices. We don't win and lose games in practices. I want the QB who is in his own head. I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, I've been to practices. I've seen Garantano, and I've seen the other 2 young guys, Shrout and Maurer. Garantano, from even what little we get to see as the media in practices, Garantano does perform the best in practices, does perform better than Shrout and Maurer. But man, I almost want, against UTC, you've got to get those guys in. You need to get Shrout and Maurer in against Georgia State. You have to get them in against UTC. I'll be very curious to see if either one of them plays significantly in the UTC game and how well they look. Because I'm not going to sit here and say I bench JG or anything like that, but man, he's making it really hard to defend him at this point. And like I said, I don't even know if I'm defending him anymore, because I've been a defender of his for a while because I've thought he's gotten way too much flack. But man, tonight he absolutely deserves it. He really does. Whew. It looks like we have I think a BYU fan in the chat now. And it seems like he's spamming things a little bit. So welcome into the chat. However you say your name, something dog. But anyway, moving forward for this game, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I'm a Vol fan, if I'm you guys, I'm sorry. I mean, I just really am sorry. You guys, this has been said, I don't know how many years in a row at this point, but you guys deserve better than this. You really do. And Henry here makes it talking about supporting Jeremy Pruitt. I think it's still way too early to be kind of out on Jeremy Pruitt. I really don't think this is a coaching issue. I really don't think this is it's partially a coaching issue, but I think it's a lot more of a personnel issue and a player issue than it is coaching. Coaches deserve blame. I think the coaches deserve more blame for the Georgia State loss than they do for this one. This one, I think, was a lot more on lack of execution and whatnot. And there were still a couple of times where I disagree with the play calls. There were still times where players were not in the right position. And I think that was on the players. Sometimes it was on the coaches. I thought Pruitt did a better job in this game of calling timeouts and or at least getting onto the players and making sure that they, at least trying to make sure they lined up better next time. I'll be very curious to see what happens when Tennessee plays Florida. If that game, because that game is the last game before bye week. Yeah, I mean, thank you, TKT, saying that they've won all their other stops. I agree, but if Tennessee goes out and loses badly to Florida, if Garantano plays really badly in the Swamp, because this will actually be his first time playing at the Swamp because he wasn't the starter in 2017. It was Normandy. If he plays really poorly in the Swamp, and when you have a bye week to prepare for Georgia, I almost wonder if you, at that point, maybe test out trying a Shroud or Mauer starting against Georgia because you'll be at home. And granted, it gets against Georgia, and that's not an ideal first start for a redshirt freshman or a true freshman. But if Garantano doesn't play well against UTC, especially, or doesn't play well against Florida, because I think the coaches will still want to see him play against an SEC opponent. I don't think they'll pull a 2013 Tennessee move and put in a Nathan Peterman for his first start ever in the Swamp on the road. I don't think they would do that unless they absolutely had to, or unless Garantano was just disastrous against UTC. I don't think they would do that to Mauer or Shrout. But if he doesn't play well in the next two games or doesn't play well against Florida, you have that bye week before Georgia, that's kind of at least an opportune time. If you're going to make a move, or at least try to see if something's going to happen, if you can change anything with a move, that's a better time than a lot of other situations this season. I'll say that. I do think you'll see hopefully at least one of the backup quarterbacks, if not two, against UTC. Because this is the RTI post-game reaction show. Tennessee loses to BYU. Oh boy. I'm still just kind of not even at a loss for words. Just, I don't know, man. Fed up, I guess. BYU. So the BYU fans in here, I thought BYU. I thought they rebounded very well after a rough first half. I will say I do give them credit. Tennessee. I think this was still more of Tennessee losing it than BYU winning it. But I think BYU made some really good second half adjustments. They were able to wear down Tennessee's defense a little bit. And found a lot more running room the second half and both the overtime periods. I thought Zach Wilson looked like a much better quarterback in the second half. I thought he looked a lot better, a lot different than he did the first half. He just looked rattled in the first half, I think is what it was. And he was making poor decisions. I mean, him and Garantano are having a competition so you can make the most poor decisions, I think, in the game. But then to give him credit, he made a lot better choices, a lot better decisions. In the second half. And really the defense for BYU too also, I mean, they stepped up big time in the second half and played better. I mean, they were playing all right the first half too. It wasn't like they were getting gashed a whole lot. You had the big play that Juwan Jennings had, and then you also still had, I think it was second half when Ty Chandler ripped off that 53-yard run. But yeah, to what G. White said, BYU did the most what they had, and they made Tennessee's mistakes count. Absolutely. Yeah. BYU did what Tennessee couldn't, and that was force a turnover. Tennessee, over the last, really, I guess, since the start of the 2017 season, they have been awful at forcing turnovers. In 2017, they forced 15 turnovers total. Last year, 15 turnovers total. This year, through two games, they have one forced turnover. And that's been a thing that Jeremy Pruitt has been able to hang his hat on in his defenses at Alabama, Georgia, and then Florida State, was forcing turnovers. Obviously, he had, much better talent at those two schools than what he has at Tennessee right now. But Tennessee has been just really, 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 really bad at forcing turnovers. Yeah, and Lance has a good point. He said he could feel it all game as Tennessee let them hang around while they dominated between the 20s. That's right. Tennessee, I think it's a good way of putting it. Tennessee dominated in between the 20s for most of the time. You had a couple of 3-and-outs and drives that stalled out there, but for the most part, in between the 20s. Tennessee was picking up chunk yards. They were doing really well. Once they got into the red zone, let me pull up the numbers here. And in the red zone, well, they're actually a little better than I thought they were. They were 3 of 4, but only one of those was only one of those was a touchdown. Let me see if the stat sheet here breaks it down and red zone scoring. It should. Well, I guess not. That's weird. I really thought it would. But Tennessee was 3 of 4 in the red zone, and I'm pretty sure only one of those was a touchdown. I mean, obviously. Well, I guess it. I don't know. I'm trying to find out. Sorry, guys. I do know BYU was a perfect 5 of 5 in the red zone. They did not get stopped in the red zone. Does it count the interception? I missed what you were referencing to about the interception there, Lance. But the interception was I think that was around midfield, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure now. Yeah, one turnover the past 2 weeks. No, it wasn't the red zone. The interception was not in the red zone. I do remember that. Let me see if I can find where that interception happened. The interception happened. Well, I do not know. That actually happened in Tennessee's own territory. Yeah, Tennessee had at the 31 on that possession. They got to a 31, and then the interception happened. So it was in Tennessee's own side of the field when that interception happened. And then it looks like, if I'm reading this all correctly, I think BYU took over at the UT 20. They picked it off or turned it down to the 20, and then they scored 3 plays later. So yeah, that didn't happen in the red zone. It gave BYU possession in the red zone, but the interception itself did not happen in the red zone for Tennessee. So why didn't they run the ball more and keep it out of Guaranton's hands? Because in the second half, Tennessee started struggling to run the ball more. They were dominating with it in the first half. They're doing a really good job of it, and they were still picking up some chunk yards here and there in the second half. But here, see if I can find the breakdown here. Yeah, here we go. First half, Tennessee ran the ball 20 times for 127 yards. That's an average of 6.4 yards per carry. Second half, 115 yards on 29 carries, so a 4 yard per carry average. And not only that, but if you take the 115 yards there, a lot of it came from that. Okay, actually, no, it looks like Ty Chandler, that 53-yard run was in the second quarter, so I was wrong. It was not in the second half, his first half. But he did also have that 27-yard run in the fourth quarter. So you ripped off a couple big runs. And then Tennessee had a couple big pass plays as well, a 51-yarder, a nearly 20-yarder. But, they ran the ball a lot in both halves. But in the second half especially, they ran the ball 29 times, only passed it 15 times. It wasn't like Guarantano threw it a ton, but I guess you could still argue that even though he didn't throw it a ton, he still threw it too much because he still just didn't have a good game. He finished 17 of 28, 176 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. Like I said, his stat sheet's not going to look like he had a horrible game. It's going to look like he had a mediocre game. But as Lance here said in the chat, without Juwan Jennings bailing JG out on 2 touchdown throws, his stat sheet, his night would have looked much worse. He should have been picked off twice. Got lucky that one in the end zone wasn't picked off or wasn't even batted down because that was a 4th down call. Yeah, that was 4th down. If I remember correctly, that was a 4th down touchdown pass. It was at least a 3rd down. I remember now. But regardless, Tennessee did run the ball a whole lot. Like I said, they ran it 29 times in the second half. On the night, BYU threw it 30 times. Tennessee threw it 28. Tennessee ran the ball 49 times. BYU ran it 30. Tennessee actually, they controlled the time of possession, 34 minutes to BYU's 26. But as I saw someone here on the chat say, it seems like when Tennessee gets in the mode, whoever the offensive coordinator is, doesn't matter. If they get in the mode of let's kind of chew this clock and run it out, and they're not converting touchdowns, they lose games. That's been true. That's how Tennessee's lost their games. A lot of times it's been close. And I will say this. The fact that Tennessee's offense has not been able to get touchdowns as often, because you saw last week Brent Samaglia made a couple of field goals because Tennessee drive stalled out. That's been a theme since I don't remember if it was in the spring, but definitely at least in the fall in the scrimmages that were closed to media. But from what I was able to hear about these scrimmages in the fall, that's been a theme since fall camp. This offense is there in the scrimmages in the fall camp were several times where the defense would stop them and the offense would stall out and they'd had to settle for field goals. I'm a little worried that that's going to be a theme for the whole season at this point. Brent Samaglia, someone jokingly said Brent Samaglia MVP, and he might end up being the MVP of this team because I think he's going to get a lot of work. I think he's going to get a lot of work. You must run the ball to win as a myth. If you have effective passing and you have a run game, you at least have to move the chains. I would agree with you to an extent about having to run the ball to be a myth. I think in the SEC you have to have at least a capable rushing attack. So if your passing game is struggling, you have the offensive line and the rushing game to take the load and alleviate the pressure off the quarterback. But if you have a really good quarterback, that opens up the running game because it makes the defense scared of the pass. So it opens up play action. I think having a great quarterback and a good offensive line that can do both pass blocking and run blocking, that is more key than running the ball in today's football. But yeah, Tennessee doesn't lead with the pass. I don't know that they should either with the way this passing game is, but yeah, if you can't run it, it makes it much harder to pass. I mean, I agree. My point is that the old adage of running and defense wins you games isn't necessarily always true now. It's still to me, it's still true. I would still much rather have a team that has a stout defense and a good rushing attack rather than an aired out spread offense and a defense that is leaky. I would rather it be an SEC type of team than say a Big 12 or a Pac-12 type of team when it comes to kind of the construction and makeup of a squad. But yeah, today Tennessee, you said try to establish the run. Today BYU beat us with the pass. BYU ended up in the second half beating Tennessee with the run and the pass. They couldn't be stopped anywhere. Like I said, they had -4 rushing yards in the first half. In the second half and overtime, they totaled 111 rushing yards. And okay, what did they average? It was 6 or 7 yards per carry in the second half and overtime. BYU did. It was 6.2 yards per rush in the second half and in overtime is what BYU averaged. I mean, that's from going from 12 carries for -4 yards in the first half to 18 carries for 111 yards in the second half and in overtime periods. That's a huge, that is a drastic increase. And really, the passing game wasn't the one that really killed Tennessee, except for that huge game, that huge gain by Simon. I mean, there are a couple of throws that, obviously I thought Zach Wilson has a good arm talent, and he made some good throws, and I thought his receivers made some good plays. But really, overall, it was the rushing attack that I thought BYU really started to establish more in the second half. That really helped them a lot. And like I said, their defense stepped up and played better in the second half too. Yes, Lance, the depth's not there. We have said that consistently here at RTI. Both me and Ben McKee both have said multiple times the depth really at any position is just not there. You look at defensive line. I think defensive lines where you have the most depth right now, but they're all, it's a bunch of unproven guys and a bunch of guys who are just, none of them are game changers. I think Bumpus, to me, had a really good game today. I don't know that I would call him a game changer. I thought Aubrey Solomon played better, but I don't know that I would call him a game changer. Linebacker, you don't have a whole lot of depth, and that's being tested because Batuli's out right now. You have some young guys, but you don't have a lot of depth that the coaches trust. Secondary, you definitely don't have depth in the secondary. That's being shown right now with just missing one starter with Bryce Thompson. God forbid Tennessee has another injury or has another issue or an injury in the secondary. Because that's not, you're going to have to be playing, I don't know. Kenneth George Jr. is going to get a lot of minutes, a lot of snaps. I don't know, man. On offense, because I kind of covered the defense there for all those positions. Offense, you have depth on the offensive line, but obviously we've seen here through 2 weeks that they're not good. So it's not like it's quality depth. And Lance, I think defensive backs aren't a weakness. I think they kind of are a strength. I just think that I said the depth's bad. I just don't think that. I don't think anything on Tennessee defense is great, but I do think that the defensive backs are a strength. I think that if Bryce Thompson does get back, if he does come on the team, I think you'll see that unit improve quite a bit because right now you're relying on Warren Buell and Sean Schamberger to play a lot to really start for you, and it's not ideal. No, he hasn't looked great. You're right. He's a true freshman, and he's looked like a true freshman out there. I think he'll get better as the season goes on, but obviously Henry To'oTo'o has looked better. Obviously different positions, but he's a true freshman on the defense, and he's looked better than Warren Buell. And Warrior, I've seen you chime in about Warrior a few different times. He still far too many times goes for the big hit rather than the wrap-up tackle. And I wasn't paying attention to him specifically a whole lot tonight, so I can't comment on his play tonight a whole lot. I do know he had a couple of mistakes in Georgia State game, and they were bad. So I didn't get a chance to watch him a whole lot. I want to go back because I guess I'll go back and watch the film of this because I hate myself. But I think I'll go back and watch the film and kind of rewatch it a little bit, and I'll try to keep an eye on Warrior because of you, Lance, and kind of get back to you on that one. But to go back to the depth thing on offense, like I said, you have offensive line depth, but it's not very good. Running back with Tim Jordan out now. I mean, you were down to 2 scholarship guys you trusted. You moved Aaron Beasley, a true freshman who's been practicing on defense for all fall. You moved him over to running back. I mean, he didn't get carries, but I mean that just shows you the depth there because they're not playing Karn Filzeme. They're not playing Tim Jordan. You had 2 running backs there, so the depth there is awful. Receiver, you have. I mean, I think receiver you have okay depth because you have guys. You have Marquez Callaway, you have Juwan Jennings, you have Josh Palmer. Those are your 3 main guys. I think you feel okay with Brandon Johnson. I think you feel okay with using a Tyler Bird obviously as a blocker, but he could do some things here and there. You saw Jacquez Jones get a reverse. So I think depth at receiver is okay. Depth at tight end is awful. Dominic Wood-Anderson's the only really capable SEC caliber tight end you have. And then depth at quarterback, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what Tennessee has with Strout and Maurer if they get to play against UTC, but I don't think they're obviously a very good depth there either. O-line's going to be great by midseason. I don't know. I think they'll be better. They are improving. As you said, they're young guys there. Brandon Kennedy is still, knocking off some rust because this is really the first time he's really played a whole lot because he didn't play very much besides as a reserve with Bama. He played the first game of last season and then, suffered the season-ending injury. This is the first time that he's made 2 starts in a season ever. So I think he will get better. I think you'll see Wanya Morris and Donald Wright get better. It's really the interior of the line that concerns me because of Trey Smith, if there's ever a point this year where he can't, play for Tennessee because of his unfortunate the health conditions he has with his blood clots in his lungs. If he can't go, that interior of the line scares me because it's just not been good. Even Smith today kind of struggled a little bit at times getting some push, but he played better than most of them. But I do think the offensive linemen, the linemen are coming off major missed time last year. And like I said, you also have 2 true freshmen that you're playing a lot of snaps, and they didn't get starts this game. I think you had Marcus Tatum and Jameer Johnson were your 2 starting tackles in this game, and Trey Smith got the start at left guard. But the offensive line, I do think as long as they don't get bit by the injury bug or anything like that, I think they will improve. And I'm curious to see what the defensive line does as it goes along. Like I said, I was pretty encouraged by Bumpus in this game. I was encouraged a little bit by what I saw from Aubrey Solomon at times, but there's just I don't know, man. Do you think BYU can get better this week and beat USC? I don't know. USC, I haven't kept up with them so far this year a whole lot. Let me double check them really quick before I make a prediction that could be stupid on my part. USC football, I misspelled that. They are currently leading Stanford at halftime. That's interesting. That'd be interesting to kind of keep up with here as we're in the Pac-12 after midnight. It's past midnight at this point. First half defensive line looked good. Lots of pressure. They did get a lot more pressure in the first half. Second half, I mean, I don't know what happened. The Tennessee's front 7 just really disappeared in the second half. Overall, I mean, they weren't pressuring the quarterback nearly as much. And like I said, they were having trouble stopping the run a whole lot too. How about that Vol kicker? Yeah, like I said, Brent Smaglia was good. He really was. He was. Tennessee special teams were the best part of the game for Tennessee tonight, just like it was last week. Aside from that fumble by Marquez Callaway last week, Tennessee special teams were really good last week. Tennessee special teams again this week were really good. Joe Duell had a perfect punt when Tennessee needed it. With the minute left in the fourth quarter, he boomed it. I think 60 yards or something like that, and it gave BYU a long field to work with. And then of course you had the 64-yard reception that negated all that. But Burton Smaglia made all his field goals. I think every single kickoff Tennessee had went for a touchback because it just boomed it. I think Paxton Brooks just boomed it into the end zone every single time. I think you only punted it once in this game, maybe. It might have been twice. Let me see. Tennessee punted it 3 times. Okay. 3 times for an average of 45.7 yards. That's Joe Doyle, who I'm pretty sure is still a walk-on. He joined Tennessee as a walk-on. I'm pretty sure he still is a walk-on. So, like I said, Tennessee's special teams were good. You said best since James Wilhoit. You know, I mean, it's still early. Brent Smaglia is only, I think now he's a junior. But yeah, he's been really good. He's been very consistently good. 51-yarder that tied his career high. Florida has some issues and could be beat, but if that line doesn't improve, Gators may force you to. God, there is no way, no way I'm predicting Tennessee to come close to beating Florida. I agree with you. They're beatable. Whew, though, I'm not picking Tennessee to win in the swamp. They haven't done that since 2003. I'm not picking this team to do it. I know Florida just beat Tennessee Martin 45-0. I mean, that's they should do that. I'm not looking at the score or the stats or anything like that, but according to Gatorsports.com, from some guy named Dooley, grades the Gators, says their Gators got better in key areas now in Kentucky. So I mean, it looks like they improved, but heck, man, Florida's beatable. I am not picking them to lose to Tennessee. Not in the swamp, but goodness. So where do we go from here, guys? I'm going to kind of close it out here. We've reached close to an hour at this point. What are your all's thoughts? Snooty Baronet here with the nice song reference. Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation. No winning. Where do we go from here, guys? Because I think fan interest is going to be possibly at an all-time low. I really do. I guess, I mean, I look at my lifetime of Tennessee football. I was born in the early 90s. Tennessee was really, really good when I was growing up. Tennessee was really good when I was a kid. Tennessee was still good when I was in middle school age. And then when I got into high school, that's when the things started to turn around where they weren't as good, but they were still in the national spotlight. I was heading into high school in 2007, so that was the last year that Tennessee was any good. But even when Tennessee was sucking in the dual years, and then even really in Butch Jones's last year, I don't think fan interest reached the point that it's going to reach right now. Yes, India Baronet, I agree. They're not going to fire Pruitt anytime soon. Like I said, even looking at 2011 with Dooley, even because obviously 2012 there was fan interest at least at the beginning of the year because Tennessee had a really high octane offense. I'd struggle to think of a time in my lifetime, maybe someone else, if you're an older fan, if you were around in the 70s in Johnny Major's first few years, I'm curious how fan interest was then, because I've likened Jeremy Pruitt and Johnny Majors quite a bit here from how their Tennessee tenures have started and the rebuilds they both faced. My prediction for fan turnout next week, I think they will announce anywhere between 70 to 75,000. I think you'll be lucky if you have 60, 65,000 there. What happened to the back shoulder throws and jump balls? That's a good question. It may not be a Chaney thing. It may be more of a Tyson Hilton kind of West Coast offense thing. But really, if I think back to the season last year, you saw that obviously with the Auburn game. I think you saw it a little bit with the Kentucky game. But really, I don't recall it being a big staple of the offense other than, a handful of games. It wasn't in the South Carolina game, which I thought was a well-called game. They didn't do it a ton there. There was a lot more short passes and kind of quick throws and quick runs and things like that. I don't recall, maybe it's just I've blocked out a lot of the other games because they were awful, but the back shoulder throws and things like that, They were obviously a staple of the Auburn game. That's why Tennessee won. I think you also saw a few of those throws against Kentucky, but I don't know that you saw a lot of it last season. I think it's stuck in Tennessee fans' minds because those plays helped Tennessee win 2 games last year. But I don't know if they were as big of a part of the offense last year as I think some people think, because, like I said, I think it's inflated in people's minds because of those 2 wins. But it's not been a big part of Tennessee's offense this year. And maybe it's because they don't feel like they got enough protection to throw down the field a whole lot. I don't know. It's not been very prevalent. Maybe they're saving stuff for the SEC. Maybe we'll see some more back shoulder throws or things like that against Florida, or against Georgia, or against Missouri or whomever, Kentucky. But protection's been better so far this year. Actually, it wasn't that great against Georgia State, but it was better against BYU than BYU didn't have a great front 7. I didn't think they were going to be able to get a ton of pressure on JG. They still got more pressure than they should have, because there were still a couple of times where guys were basically untouched getting into the backfield. G. White says, I saw a few more deeper plays on offense, but BYU pulled out more stops and went deeper in on their plays. Yeah, there were a few more deep plays on offense, but there still wasn't as much as I think you would have liked to have seen. But still. Then you get trashed by Purdue. Hey, you're not Arkansas. How did Arkansas do today? Let me double check that really quick. Or did they even play today? They did. They lost. Okay. 31-17 to Ole Miss. I mean, yeah, I guess Arkansas is worse than Tennessee. Maybe. I don't know. Arkansas didn't lose to Georgia State. Arkansas didn't lose their week 1 matchup to Portland State, but they tried. And Portland State's an FCS school, so I mean, maybe Arkansas is worse than Tennessee. Maybe I'll give you that one. Maybe Arkansas is worse than Tennessee. It's not feeling great. I'll tell you this: I'm very excited about men's basketball season coming up. Less than 2 months away from that now. We're about, I think, 57, 58 days away, somewhere around there, maybe for basketball season starting. But Bill, when I worry about Arkansas and Tennessee, they're not playing each other this year. So Arkansas won't beat Tennessee, or Tennessee won't beat Arkansas because they're not playing. Oh, thanks, Alan. We got a Bama fan saying he feels sorry for Tennessee. So I think that's a good way to end it before we start getting some more rival fans in here saying they feel sorry for Tennessee and start a pity party in here for everything. So I'll go ahead and end this now, but I appreciate all of you for tuning in here for kind of the maiden voyage here on the post-game live show. I'm hoping next week I'm going to try to figure out, I'm going to maybe test it in the middle of the week this week to see if there's a way to have Ben McKee, our staff writer here at RTI, to kind of join me on this live, and if you could hear him, and if you can't see him, like have him on a Skype video call or something like that. If you can't see him, at least you can hear his audio and everything too. So I'll try to do that. Like I said, try to test that maybe during the week and see if it'll work. And if not, then next week it'll still be me. I still want to do this because this gets a way for you guys to interact with us and leave comments and things like that, because I like doing post-game podcasts, but this way I can at least get some interaction from you guys. But Bill Bransky, will end it with this one. Bill Bransky, his official prediction for next week's game: Chattanooga 35, Tennessee 28, triple overtime. All right, signing off for, I guess, myself. It's just me, but I'm Nathaniel Rutherford, managing editor, RockyTopInsider.com. You're welcome, Lance. Y'all can vent however much you want to. If you're watching this not live, vent in the comment section. Definitely go for it. Be my guest. But we're here at RockyTopInsider.com. Thank you for watching on the YouTube here. You can subscribe to us. Please do. We're going to have more video content coming for you during the week, whether it's our podcast, whether it's practice video, whether it's other stuff we have hopefully coming here soon. I'm looking into some new software to do some different stuff. So I'm hopefully going to try to expand some more coverage for you guys here on YouTube. So be on the lookout for that. We're Rocky Top Insider on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Like I said, I'm not looking forward to the next few weeks. So if you all could be nice and throw me a bone and read some stuff we're writing and everything, because I know fan interest is going to be plummeting, but we would really appreciate it if you didn't just give up on us, if you at least still supported us, because obviously all the stuff we give to you is free at Rocky Top Insider. So we appreciate all of you who've stuck with us throughout the years. We've been around for a long time. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm Nathaniel Rutherford. We'll have all kinds of coverage for you, probably going on to tonight and in the morning. Sunday, all day Sunday, we'll have a lot of stuff for you, so be on the lookout for that. But talk to you guys later. Thank you all so much.